What up, y'all? This is Mink, the Ice Cream Man, checking in live and direct from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. It's been a while since y'all heard from your boy, man. I've been busy working. Just started the ice cream truck business, man. So stay tuned for the videos that I'm gonna drop on that here soon, man. I gotta learn a few things with my meta glasses. I got my meta glasses here. Got to learn how to operate them. You know, I'm dealing with kids, so I want to be able to put smiley faces over the kids' faces when I'm selling. You know what I'm saying, for legal reasons. But today, man, I'm bringing y'all the murder trial of Julio Foolio. Julio Foolio was a rapper from Jacksonville, Florida. I really didn't know too much about his music, but he was. I paid attention more to his interviews. You know what I'm saying? He was actually beefing with this quite a few different people in Jacksonville, different cliques in Jacksonville. Most notably, the ATK clique out of Jacksonville, which has the prominent rapper. Um, Fuck, I can't think of his name right now. He was actually pretty good. He actually made good music. You know what I'm saying? These guys is here is they're not my genre, and not my era of rap. You know, these guys are much younger than I am. But today is the first day of the murder trial. It's you got some defendants: Isaiah Chance, Sean Gathright, Rashard Murphy, and Davion Murphy. I don't know if those guys are brothers or cousins or not. I think they're brothers. But however, these guys planned and plotted to travel from Jacksonville to Tampa Bay to unalive rapper Julio Foolio. Uh, I believe it was Isaiah Chance, or I think it was Sean Gathright, the light skinned brother. You know what I'm saying? I think it was his girlfriend that actually went to trial first, and she was found guilty of all the devilment that she was involved. So hey, she was a cute little thing too, man. But it's sad that, and one crazy thing about the situation is that she was actually pregnant when she went to jail. You know, and I think she done had the baby or whatever. Shout out to the people who's checking out the Neighborhood Superstar Podcast. We got 21 people checking us out right now. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. So, like I said, man, this is day one of the trial of Julio Foolio. Let's go ahead and get to it, y'all.
Okay, very good. I'll let everyone get settled. Good morning, members of the jury. Welcome back, everyone. Have a seat. We are ready to proceed. Before we get going, though, I just am going to ask again. I'm going to ask this every morning. Did anybody watch, read, or listen to any news accounts or social media posts about this case, or do any independent research about this case, or speak with anyone about this case? All right. Okay. I don't see any hands, so. All right, I have the initial set of preliminary instructions to read to you all, and they are as follows. Members of the jury, you have been selected as defendant Isaiah Chance is charged with one count of first-degree premeditated murder and one count of conspiracy to commit first-degree premeditated murder. Defendant Sean Gathright is charged with one count of first-degree premeditated murder, one count of conspiracy to commit first-degree premeditated murder, 3 counts of attempted first-degree premeditated murder, and 1 count of tampering with evidence.
And I want to point out that with these charges that these guys got, Florida don't have parole. So these guys here are probably going to spend they're going to spend the rest of their lives in prison over this foolishness right here, man.
Defendant Rashad Murphy is charged with 1 count of first-degree premeditated murder, 1 count of conspiracy to commit first-degree premeditated murder, and 3 counts of attempted first-degree premeditated murder.
That's one of the gunmen.
Murphy is charged with 1 count of first-degree premeditated murder, 1 count of conspiracy to commit premeditated murder.
Who's that guy?
Counts of attempted first-degree premeditated
He done
murder.
gained some weight since he been in
The
there.
definition of these crimes will be explained to you later. You must decide this case based on the evidence presented and the law that I give you. Evidence consists of the sworn testimony of witnesses, exhibits admitted into evidence, and anything else that I tell you to consider as evidence. The state's charging document, which is called an indictment, is not evidence and is not to be considered by you as any proof of guilt. It is my responsibility to explain the law to you. It is your solemn responsibility to determine if the state proved its accusations beyond a reasonable doubt against the defendants in accordance with the law that I provide to you. Thus, the province of the jury and the province of the court are well defined, and they do not overlap. This is one of the fundamental principles of our system of justice. Before proceeding further, it will be helpful if you understand how the trial is conducted. At the beginning of the trial, the attorneys will have an opportunity, if they wish, to make an opening statement. The opening statement gives the attorneys a chance to tell you what evidence they believe will be presented during the trial. What the lawyers say, however, is not evidence, and you are not to consider it as such. Following the opening statements, witnesses will be called to testify under oath. They will be examined and cross-examined by the attorneys. Documents and other exhibits may also be introduced as evidence. After the evidence has been presented, the attorneys will have the opportunity to make their closing arguments. Following the closing arguments by the attorneys, the court will instruct you on the law applicable to the case. Following the closing arguments of the attorneys, I will conclude with the final instructions. After the final instructions are given, you will retire to consider your verdict. You should not form any definite or fixed opinion on the
If he falls
case
asleep,
until you have heard all of the evidence, the argument of the lawyers, and the instructions on the law that I give you. Until that time, you should not discuss the case among yourselves. Your verdict must be based solely on the evidence or lack of evidence and the law. Jurors must decide the case without distraction and only on the evidence presented in the courtroom. Jurors must not conduct any investigation on their own. This includes reading newspapers, watching television, or using a computer, cell phone, the internet, any electronic device, or any other means at all to get information related to this case or the people and places involved in this case. You may not visit places mentioned in the trial or use the internet to look at maps or pictures to see any place discussed during the trial. If you investigate, research, or make inquiries on your own, I have no way to make sure that the information you obtain is proper for the case. The parties likewise have no opportunity to dispute or challenge the accuracy of what you find. This is contrary to our judicial system, which assures every party the right to ask questions about and challenge the evidence being considered against it, and to present argument with respect to that evidence. Any independent investigation by a juror unfairly and improperly prevents the parties from having that opportunity that our judicial system promises. You are also not permitted to communicate about the case with anyone, including your spouse, family members, friends, neighbors.
All right, we already know all that stuff right there, what the jury is not supposed to do. Let's go ahead and fast forward to where the lawyer starts.
And what couldn't
Okay, very good. You may proceed with your opening statement.
Shout out to the lawyer. Look at that. The lawyer. That's a good lawyer, what that dude got right there. That's Gutter. Gutter Zay right there with the turtleneck on. I'm pretty sure he got tattoos on his neck. You know what I'm saying? So they're trying to hide those gang affiliate tattoos that's on his neck. Tell me what y'all think in the chat, y'all.
It was his birthday. He was here in Tampa for his birthday, celebrating his birthday, celebrating with friends, well-wishers. He had traveled here to this city, to Tampa, to celebrate. And what could not have been in his mind in those early morning hours while he was out celebrating his birthday was that he was being watched. He was being followed. He was being stalked by a group of conspirators. He could not have known that he was living the last moments of his 26 years, just barely 26 years.
Just barely 26.
Breathing the last breaths of his 26 years of life.
Nigga probably wasn't even fucking born yet. Tell me where y'all from, y'all. We got 3 people checking out the Neighborhood Superstar Podcast. Tell me where you from.
Had planned and were now executing a very premeditated plot that had been hatched days, weeks before this day. A plot hatched between them with every one of their collective evil intentions directed into one purpose, directed into one common goal: the premeditated murder of Charles Jones. This group's collective hatred and animosity drove this conspiracy, a conspiracy amongst all of them, an evil, the evidence will show, and wicked conspiracy. And now, all of their planning, all of their advanced coordination would come to fruition. Charles Jones would only see his killers briefly, maybe for seconds, or maybe even a split second, the evidence will show, as they rapidly closed in on him, dressed from head to toe in all black, like ninjas, the evidence will show, coming out of the dark, wearing disguises that they had brought with them, disguises to hide their identities from the ever-present and ubiquitous cameras that permeate our communities. And sitting in the front seat of his Dodge Charger, their plan came perfectly together. He was now the perfect target, caught completely and entirely off guard as these gunmen appeared seemingly out of nowhere. An ambush that these 4 defendants that sit before you in this courtroom had organized carefully and intended, now being orchestrated perfectly and with precision that permeated their planning and their attention to detail. Unable to run, unable to dive, basically caged in the front seat of that Dodge Charger, Charles Jones was a sitting duck.
A sitting duck. That's why I don't like sitting in cars. You'd be surprised how many people get ambushed by sitting in a car. Whether you're eating, fucking around on your phone, or even at a red light. You know what I'm saying? It's dangerous.
So these conspirators didn't hesitate, not for one moment and not for 1 second. With coordinated precision, they ran to their respective firing positions and then unleashed a hellish.
Y'all stay tuned. Wait till you see the video. Wait till you see how these YNs did this dude, man. They was really after Julio Foolio. Y'all watch the video. Now, I've just rewind this. They're gonna play some diss records from both sides. And I'm not gonna play the music because I don't want to get a copyright infringement. But you guys go look up Julio Foolio music and YTK ATK's music. When they mention the songs, I'm gonna tell you guys what songs they are, and you guys go check it out for yourself.
Affecting a precisely coordinated violence of action, sending a barrage, a wall of hot lead, crashing into the only barriers between them and Charles Jones, the only barriers that separated his life from his death. And those barriers were absolutely no match. No match for the high-powered 5.56 NATO and 300 blackout high-powered rifle rounds, each of which was traveling at thousands of feet per second, each round carrying with it over 1,200 foot-pounds of lethal energy directed specifically at Charles Jones. A Glock 9mm handgun is being utilized by one of these conspirators, but not the way that it was designed. Not as a semi-automatic handgun, where you get a single bullet with a single trigger pull. No. This Glock had been converted into a fully automatic hand cannon.
That's what they call a switch.
It was running wide open, fully automatic, depositing over 30 rounds out of its extended magazine.
That's what they call a switch, y'all. For the ones who don't know.
That Dodge Charger. All of this gunfire filling the early morning darkness with booming concussions and flaming explosive muzzle flashes. And as these high-pressured, high-powered rounds filled the atmosphere around the front of that Dodge Charger, Charles Jones sat there, unable to move or do anything fast enough to evade them. Charles Jones, a name and an indictment, and now you see him.
Look, this is the video. Look at the video, y'all. This is the video.
May I have your attention, please?
Pay attention. Look, look.
It will be clear to all of you in the state.
In that video, I want to point out to you guys. I want to point out to you guys right there. with all this stuff, with all this surveillance going on in America, that video was actually captured by a Tesla. Look right there where the cars is being charged. Look right over there to your right, or the bottom right on the camera right there, y'all. That's where you charge your Tesla, your electric cars at. So that video was actually taken from a parked Tesla.
It's evidence that this conspiracy hatched not minutes, not hours, but days and weeks before this date, before this murder. A conspiracy formulated in the hearts and minds of these four defendants with one common agreed upon goal: death, murder, and violence. A conspiracy that began days before, hundreds of miles away from Tampa. A conspiracy that would span through several days, over 500 miles of travel. A conspiracy that involved reservations being made, disguises selected, gear being obtained, weapons being selected, manipulated, loaded, and made ready. Transportation was obtained, vehicles with specific purposes, and a plot that required advanced planning and logistics to include
One of
housing,
the YNs,
communication,
hold on, let me tell you.
transport.
They talk about the cars. When they speak about the cars, I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all a speed up the process for y'all. One of the YNs took his mama car down there to Tampa to commit this crime. How stupid can you be? How stupid can you be, y'all?
Realize and become reality a criminal, murderous operation. These conspirators traveling from the northeast corner of this state all the way here to Tampa, following their target, conspiring to murder Charles Jones, the evidence will show, not in his hometown, but here in Tampa, where his guard would be down while he was celebrating his birthday. You will see in this evidence the clock-like precision of these conspirators as they work together as a team. The conspirators.
There it is.
Isaiah Chance, also known as Gutta Zay, Gutta Man, Gutta, and Mr. Rich Off War. Sean Gathright, Davion Murphy, and Rashad Murphy, also known as Ghost or Ghost 187. There was a fifth participant that night, Alicia Andrews, who was Mr. Chance's, defendant Isaiah Chance's girlfriend, and who, along with Isaiah Chance, would provide the essential surveillance for this conspiracy.
Funky
To
bitch.
understand the wicked purpose that drove and motivated this shared desire to end Charles Jones' life, we need to look back in time in the city of Jacksonville to the lives and associations of Mr. Jones and all of these defendants. We'll go back in years. I'm going to walk you through a gang war that has been occurring in the city of Jacksonville, and that in this case traveled here and spilled into our streets here in Tampa. Gerard Adams, also known as Spaz, was part of a gang called 1200. He was murdered in August 2018. Mr. Adams, as I said, was part of a gang, 1200. 1200 is affiliated with another gang, ATK. Those two gangs are affiliated. Adrian Bibby Gaynor was associated to another gang, 6 Block, which was an opposing gang. In this case, in the evidence, you may hear the term ops or opposition or dead ops, meaning opposing gangs, the opposition. ATK and 1200 were and are the opposition to 6 Block. 6 Block also has a subset or a sub-gang, bully gang, which is confederated with 6 Block. Jaquan Pickens, also known as Jake Jit, was murdered in August of 23. August 16th of 23. The
Kids.
next day,
These are kids, y'all. Young kids.
August 17th of 23, Jacoby Lowell Colby Beals, a 1200 gang member, shot multiple times. He would survive. And you can see in this, and you will see in the state's evidence, a back and forth between these gangs that oppose each other. In October of 23, October 6th, specifically of 23, around 11:45, Antonio Tilley, who was an ATA, or was an ATA gang member, was shot to death while he was in an Uber. Just over 6 hours after the murder of Antonio Tilley, on October 7th, attackers with high-powered rifles would shoot up that same Dodge Charger being driven by our murder victim, Charles Jones. This was 9 months before the murder of Charles Jones. He had left his house at about 6 in the morning and was driving down the street, coming to a stop sign, when attackers with high-powered rifles opened up on his Dodge Charger.
Remember I just said that, y'all? Even stopping at a red light or even a stop sign, they've been gunning at Julio Foolio for a while. They shot at him and shot him. I remember watching some videos of his interviews, you know what I'm saying, where he already had the cast on his foot. I think he got shot in the foot, whatever. This is the instance what they're talking about right here. Months before he was actually murdered, unalive.
He would escape that morning with his life. He would drive to a local hospital and be treated for a gunshot wound in his lower leg. Drill rap. We talked about rap music yesterday with several folks in the jury pool. Drill rap is a different type of rap. It is a specific type of rap that these groups that I've already talked to you about, 6 Block and Bully Gang, and then on the other side, 1200 ATK, engaged in. Songs that were produced and songs that were distributed on social media platforms like YouTube and Spotify. Rap music where the opposing gangs' casualties, people in those gangs that had been murdered, would be demeaned, mentioned, ridiculed, made fun of, to elevate the gang making the video. To elevate.
Once again, guys, I told y'all I'm not going to play the music. You guys go back and do your research and listen to the songs yourself. I'm not going to play the music because I don't want to get a copyright infringement on my page. Check it out.
It elevate their status. They would demean not just the other gang, but what is more incendiary, they would speak specifically to members of the opposing gang who had been murdered in sarcastic lyrics, traveling in some instances to grave sites, whether it was the gravesite of that person who was actually killed or some other gravesite that would stand in.
And that's a very good point right there that the lawyer made. Very good point right there that the lawyer made. Because I don't want to make it seem, and I'm pretty sure the lawyers in this case is going to speak about this right here. Julio Foolio wasn't innocent. When that lawyer just said about people going to grave sites and stuff like that, he actually did a video of a song and dissing the ops, his people that he didn't like, dissing the people that was unalive. So he wasn't no innocent victim. He was doing his dirt too. They was basically going back and forth in the disrespect.
In addition to the drill rap, they would post photos on social media making fun of the opposing gang's casualties. I'm going to walk you through a couple of videos that you will see in the state's evidence. This video is a combination 1200 ATK video. The major performer is an individual named Kenyatta Bullard, also known as Youngin Ace or Ace. Spinavins is one of their performers who is a well-known drill rap gang member in Jacksonville, and Wapa with the Choppa is another. You can see in this photograph in the background, Youngin Ace in the yellow. Kenyatta Bullard, aka Youngin Ace. And you can see his ATK chain around his neck. In this video, you will see these performers at times during the video pointing up in the air, and you will see the names of people appearing on the screen. Those are casualties from 6 Block. Those are people who were murdered on the opposite side. And you will hear them talking about them in this drill rap. The drill rap song, Spinavins, Wapa with the Choppa, Young and Ace, and Fast Money Goon are all participants in this video. And this is them pointing Tiki being an opposing gang member who was murdered.
Y'all go do your research on this song, y'all. They actually about to play it, and those are the lyrics on the side right there. That's in white right there. I don't know if you got. I'm pretty sure you guys can't read that, but go check for this song, y'all. It's called "Who I Smoke."
or one of the people that we discussed earlier in the gang war. That was just one of several that they were pointing out. Who I smoke, meaning who is killed or shot.
There's another song, guys.
So
I'm
we
gonna
saw
fucking- I'm gonna,
Spinabins and Wappo with the Choppa. Spinabins, Noah Williams came out with this song concerning this murder. This song being released within a couple of days of the murder of Charles Jones. It's called Foolio Dead. Now, that last video, the Who I Smoke video by Young and Ace, these videos are not just put onto YouTube. Young and Ace is a celebrity. He has tens of millions of followers on Spotify and YouTube. These songs attract a lot of attention. This song, as I said, was put out within a day or two of the death of Charles Jones here in Tampa. You're going to see references and hear references in this.
Premeditation already, just off the jump. Song put out before the murder of Julio Foolio. Premeditation.
To not only Charles Jones' name, but to the name Six, Mr. Six, or Six, meaning 6 block.
You guys go back and listen to those songs right there, man. That song right there is by Spinner Benz, Wappa with the Chopper, Foolio Dead. Now, I never heard that song before. But if you would have heard that song, see, when I was growing up, I remember the beefs of Biggie, Pop. Unfortunately, those guys lost their lives over some foolishness. But outside of that, I remember when Luke was beefing with Death Row. I remember when Snoop was beefing with Eazy-E. I remember all kinds of different beefs. But it always seemed like to me it went so far. These young guys coming out with these songs today are making these hip-hop legends that I grew up on look like, no. They say No Vaseline is one of the best diss records in American in hip hop history. Tupac hit him up. Those songs are lullabies compared to what these kids are putting out today. Those songs are as easy as 1, 2, 3. Go back and listen to. Oh, now this rapper here that lost his life has nothing to do with this case. Go listen to a song called "Dead Bitches" by Chicago rapper. Fuck, I can't think of his name. Dead Bitches. Just go to YouTube and type in "Dead Bitches" Chicago rapper. Because once again, I don't listen to these guys. That song is got to be the most disrespectful rap song of all times if you listen to it. Check it out, y'all. Let's get back into
Who
it.
you're talking about, you even saw footage from the area where the murder occurred. Foolio dead for real, his ass a ghost. This is a good example of drill rap. This was another song, this one by Young and Ace, the same guy from the Who I Smoke video. This song came out, I think, 4 or 5 days after the murder of Mr. Jones.
Now, I remember this song.
It's called Game Over.
Game Over. I remember this song. My bad. I was actually muted when I said that. Make it real quick. This guy here was involved in some Julio Foolio beef as well. Uh, Young and Ace. This song right here that he's doing dropped 4 days after Julio Foolio was knocked off. Now, the reason why this guy got problems with Julio Foolio is because I'm thinking that he believed that Julio Foolio or his gang was behind the death of his partners. Julio Foolio one day was out kicking it on his birthday with some families and friends, and like I said about that stop sign, somebody pulled up alongside of him and let off some shots and killed some of his family members. Could have killed him as well. So that's why he feels some kind of way. But this is a hard song right here, y'all. Go check it out. It's called Game Over by Young and Ace.
mentioning Mr. Six, that is Charles Jones. The Don Julio you keep seeing, the tequila, again, that is a diss against Charles Jones, whose rap name was Julio Foolio. 5 in the morning, you will find in the evidence in this case that this crime occurred around 4:40 a.m. He says 4 in the car, 1 dead, 3 hit. Mr. Jones was murdered, and 3 other individuals you will find in the evidence. You heard the attempted murder counts against 3 of these defendants. 3 others were hit with gunfire but survived. As I said, Kenyatta Bullard did.
That's what I was just explaining to you guys right there when he was kicking it on his birthday. Young and Ace
Is a certified celebrity. And you also saw that is just a still from that video. And that's talking about both Charles Jones and his gang, 6 Block. Charles Jones, also known as Julio Foolio, also known as Foolio, Mr. Six, or just Six. Like Kenyatta Bullard, the person in the last 2 videos that was the lead rapper, who is the public face of ATK, Mr. Jones, the evidence will show, was the public face of 6 Block. He was the main person in that gang, the main spokesperson, and he was also a celebrity with tens of millions of followers on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify. This is a drill rap song that Mr. Jones did a couple of years before his murder. He will talk about several people that are opposing gang casualties. You will see a poster that he is holding and walking around that has 3 photographs on it, 3 young men that were all murdered in a shooting that involved.
This is why I say Julio Foolio was not a victim, an innocent victim, I should say. He was with the shits too.
Bullard, Young and Ace, who was the only survivor of that shooting.
This was his diss record towards Young and Ace. They got Young and Ace shot up on his birthday that I was telling you guys about. I'm not going to, once again, go listen to the song on YouTube on your own time, but on my page, I don't want to get a copy strike, so check it out. Julio Foolio, when I see you, so fucking disrespectful. So freaking disrespectful, y'all.
Things about that video. He says, happy birthday 23. 23 was one of the young men, that was his street name, that was murdered in that shooting. They had gone out to celebrate his birthday, and you heard him say very sarcastically happy birthday several times in that video. He also says he fell in love with dead ops. Got dead ops on my mind, dead opposition, casualties of the opposite side. He also says something very similar to the video that Kenyatta Bullard, Young and Ace put out after Julio Foolio, Charles Jones murder in this case, 4 shot, 3 dead. Very similar lyrics. This is a back and forth diss. This is back and forth.
Back and forth like a motherfucker.
This animosity and hatred between these gangs that drove the conspiracy in this case, that caused these 4 defendants to confederate and to conspire, in this case, to engage in this coordinated, planned, murderous attack. Another thing about that last video by Mr. Jones, he talks about on the east side, the west side. These terms, 6 block and 1200, refer to areas of Jacksonville. This is a territorial gang war. And these gangs are in certain areas and have control over certain areas of Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, you will hear in this evidence, has committed resources to a gang unit. And it's staffed by several gang detectives who get training and education in how to investigate gangs, how to maintain information and intelligence on those gangs. One of the things they do is they monitor that. They monitor their social media. And you will hear testimony from some of these gang detectives in this case. These detectives, each of them specializing in specific gangs to give full commitment by the sheriff's office to this gang war and the violence that's occurring in the streets of Jacksonville and Duval County. So Charles Jones belonged to and was affiliated to the wrong group. He was their spokesperson. You will find in the evidence in this case that these defendants, Rashad Murphy, Davion Murphy, are 1,200 gang members. You will also hear that Isaiah Chance is an ATK gang member affiliated closely with 1,200. Now, you're not going to hear evidence that Mr. Gathright is a gang member, and we haven't charged anything in our indictment about that, but you're going to hear he is associating with all of these gang members and was a fully committed participant in this murder. But these gangs, they despise and abhor each other, the evidence will show. So I want to talk to you about the murder itself. So you heard mention in the dead op, or the Foolio dead drill rap video by Spinabins and Guapo with the Choppa, the one that started with the blue screen. What you're looking at on the upper part of that screen, you can see Embassy Suites, USF, you can see the USF Research Park. That's Fowler, and that is the main entrance to the University of South Florida's campus. This is all just to the east of Bruce B. Downs, right? To the lower part, you have an extension of 40th Street, which becomes McKinley. And right there in the corner, you heard them mentioning Holiday Inn, which is running horizontal. Next to it is a vertical building. That is the Home to Suites. And it is on the very south end, or the bottom of the photograph, on that vertical building, there is a portico there, the entrance to that hotel. That is where the shooting in this case occurs. Now, in this photograph, you can see on the far left, there is a La Quinta Inn. That becomes relevant in the state's case because one of these high-powered rifle rounds went all the way across and went through and into a room, and there was recovered projectiles. This is more of a close-up. Now, on the bottom of the photograph, you can see it, to the bottom right, you can see an entrance into the Home to Suites parking lot from McKinley. And you can see right at the bottom of the building, a square offset. That is the roof of the portico, the entrance to the hotel. Just a more close-up photograph. So I want to walk through several videos with you that were recovered in the investigation by the Tampa Police Department here in Tampa that show what's occurring. Unfortunately, my laser pointer is not, well, maybe it will. It actually is working a little bit. Okay, usually LED screens will absorb the laser. So you're going to see here, you're going to see the Dodge Charger, Mr. Jones' Dodge Charger pulling into the portico. And you can see up here, that's a few minutes off. It's actually around 4:34, 4:35 a.m. in the morning. It's June 23rd of 2024. But he's pulling into that portico, having just turned off southbound McKinley. You can see here, this is a Hyundai that'll go down, turn around and come up behind him. That's being driven by Armani, who is his, Armani Turner, excuse me, who is his girlfriend.
But yes,
I can't see the laser.
Yeah,
it
Yeah.
doesn't work great on the LED screen.
yeah, it doesn't.
So,
If you're describing it, yes.
Yeah, I thought that might happen, Your Honor, with the jurors in the back.
that's fine, so just, Mr. Harmon will try to be as descriptive as he can, okay?
So if you're looking at the car with the tail lights lit up, that's the Hyundai on the top of the screen. That's outside of the portico. It's going to continue in the direction it's pointing. It will do a U-turn, a sharp U-turn, and pull in right behind Charles Jones' Dodge Charger. Mr. Jones is in the front passenger seat. The car is being driven by his friend Xavier Edwards. The car that is sitting there already in the portico belongs to an employee. That's unrelated to the case. And this steaming coming off there, that's coming from the building. It has nothing to do with the cars. You're going to see Mr. Jones. He's wearing a red knit cap.
That's him in the passenger side.
You will see him exit the
Minutes away from dying.
into the hotel.
He don't even know it.
So what happens is, while they were out that night, he had made a reservation, but because they arrived so late, it was given away. In this video, you'll see him return. In some instances, the video is being accelerated slightly, like right now. There's a car pulling in to the parking lot and going northbound. That becomes very relevant, and I'll explain that in a few minutes. This car, the Nissan Altima, is being driven by two of Mr. Jones' friends. They had gone around to the other side of the hotel and were just coming back. You're going to see an individual named Taifa McCrae. And Miss Albritton, who was dressed in a all pink suit, who are friends of Mr. Jones. They exit and they go into the hotel to use the restroom, and they're actually inside the.
Find truckloads of savings at Freeland Chevrolet.
Slid in behind him in the front seat. Now you're going to see another car come by. This is a small silver Chevy Cruze. This, you will find in the evidence, is the surveillance tracker vehicle that was utilized by these conspirators, by these defendants, to follow, to track, and stalk Mr. Jones and his friends, giving real-time, by communications, by phone, real-time location data and information about where he would be. This car passes by, being driven by defendant Isaiah Chance, his girlfriend. You saw her earlier, Miss Andrews, is in the front passenger seat. The assault team is already present on the west side of the hotel. That was the car that had pulled in earlier and went northbound and did not pass the portico. This is a mounted camera, by the way, folks, on the hotel that's facing east-southeast. If you look in the upper right part of the screen by the two palm trees, you're going to see right before the shooting happens a masked individual.
I'm gonna end this live here, y'all. I'm gonna end this live right after this video of them showing them shooting and unaliving Julio Foolio. But I'm gonna get back with you guys later and give you a more deeper analysis on this case. So you guys check it out.
His face pop out. The evidence in this case will show that it's defendant Rashad Murphy. He is the Glock shooter. This is the beginning of the, well, actually it's not. First we're gonna see the Chevy Cruze come by. And then the Chevy Cruze will do a 3-point turn. You'll see that in other video evidence shortly, and it turns around and goes back out. And now it's exiting. Mr. Chance drives right past the victim and exits through the parking lot of the hotel, literally within seconds of the murder occurring and starting. You will see him exiting to the right, going southbound on McKinley. The evidence will show that he goes down, he does a U-turn and comes back north on McKinley and passes the hotel just before the shooting begins. Here's the shooter. Xavier.
So look, I didn't previously see that part of the video, so I thought they was actually I thought they would start shooting once Julio Foolio car pulled off. I didn't know they walked up on the car with the Glock and started busting in. That what made Julio Foolio dip up off the scene. Check it out at the bottom.
The shooter.
Look at the very bottom left of the screen, y'all. Look at the perpetrator.
The evidence will show that he goes down, he does a U-turn and comes back north on McKinley and passes the hotel just before the shooting begins. Here's the shooter. Xavier Edwards tries to escape from the shooting. You can see the other two cars, one being driven by Camilla Bentley, who's going forward, the other one being driven by Armani Turner, who is going backwards. In their haste to flee from the shooting, they actually collide with each other, and they both end up going southbound on McKinley. They go different directions. Now, this is what I was talking about, where by the palm trees you will see a head pop out right before the full appearance of the shooters. That is Rashad Murphy. You
I see his head.
Shooter run over to that tree, just
Wait.
in the center of the video screen, just to the right of that Lexus SUV. The evidence will show in this case that that is defendant Gathright. On the top of the screen, you see a Mercedes SUV and a yellow car, and you see an individual moving around. The evidence will show that is the defendant, Davion Murphy, who is firing. And you can see in this evidence that Mr. Edwards attempts desperately to flee from these shooters, but what he actually does is he drives directly into a crossfire, a vortex, if you would.
Ran right into him.
Desperately to flee from these shooters, but what he actually does.
And then look right here. I want y'all to look right here. Look at the other shooter. There's another shooter right there. So we had a shooter come from right here with the Glock switch. Then you had another guy waiting right here. And that's him right there. Look at the guy right here. I'm going to rewind it.
The evidence will.
See, look. Look at the guy. That's the guy. Bam. Bam. And look at this guy right here coming. Look at him firing.
You see an individual moving around.
Now, it's no wonder this guy didn't actually shoot, didn't actually accidentally unalive that guy. No wonder.
The evidence will show that is the defendant, Davion Murphy, who is firing. And you can see in this evidence that Mr. Edwards attempts desperately to flee from these shooters, but what he actually does is he drives directly into a crossfire, a vortex, if you will, of high-powered rifle fire. The car flees down the west side of the hotel, heading north. Now, just around the corner, wrapping around to the west side of the hotel, the attack team parks the car, they get out and move into position coming around to that corner. As they move through there, they pass a Tesla. This is a video from a Tesla. There are multiple screens and videos you will see from this Tesla, which was in sentry mode, activated and recorded. Officers met with the owner the next morning, who showed them this video on the screen inside the Tesla, and they were able to collect this video. In this instance, you can see to the far right, you can see a charging station with cables hanging off of it. You will see in the grass area by the charging station, you will see Davion Murphy running by, holding a rifle, wearing all black with an orange ski mask. And he's heading up to that area by that yellow Bronco and the Mercedes SUV, where he later pops out. Now, in a minute, you're going to see Xavier Edwards accelerating that Dodge Charger around the corner. You'll see its headlights sweep across those, I believe, probably cypress trees right there. There comes the headlights. He is now fleeing up the northwest side of the Home to Suites. you're going to see Mr. Murphy, Davion Murphy, unload with that rifle down the west side of that hotel. Mr. Jones' Charger, after being impounded and transported to the Tampa Police Department, impound lot, all of those yellow marks, other than the ones on the hinges, are going to be impacts.
All right, guys. I'm going to end it right there. And I'm going to watch this trial thoroughly, and I'm going to take notes, and I'm going to bring y'all back the information, what I learned about this day one trial of murdered Jacksonville rapper Julio Foolio. I want to thank everybody for checking out the Neighborhood Superstar Podcast, man. Make sure y'all hit that like, subscribe button, share, tell a friend. I'm out, y'all. Peace.